Welcome to Wild Wisdom Podcasts. I'm joined with another special guest today. His name is Alan, and we've known each other for a very long time. We're here to talk about two things, really. We're here to talk about the Star Wars franchise and its future, and also the Tolkien Estate and them selling their souls to the devil. But we'll get to that. Say hello, Alan.
Hello out there.
Okay, so let's start off with the three trilogies, and I want to just sort of gloss over these ones, starting with the original 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so this comes out in, what was it?
77 was the first movie, 80 Empire Strikes Back, 83 for Return of the Jedi.
Coming from very humble beginnings with ships that were put together by word and then sort of hung on wires and filmed and stuff like that. Very sort of primitive filmmaking style. But the vision of it, well, as we all know, it completely impacted society. What is your experience of the original trilogy?
The first time that I saw, I suppose, Star Wars as it was when I was probably about 5 years old. My dad literally just picked me up, plopped me next to him and said, shush and watch this. And instantly I'm mesmerised by this big crawl of wording. This disappears into the distance of space, and then you get this massive ship just kind of hurtling from the top of the screen.
Yeah.
And for a young kid, the sound effects, the music, these outlandish characters, stormtroopers all dressed in white, Darth Vader all clad in black, C-3PO all in gold, R2-D2 is obviously silver and blue, and it's just something you've never seen before.
It was dazzling. I do remember that. I mean, I'm not as hyped and keen about it as you are. I think for me, I mean, I liked it, but I think for me at the time, I didn't know what to enjoy, to be quite honest. I think it was more sort of, things like... Bearing in mind, actually, I should really say this. This was me coming from watching such harsh films, actually. Things like Secret Name, Watership Down, The Last Unicorn, all of these really powerful, moral-heavy stories to something so light and fluffy like Star Wars. And I think for me, maybe it kind of felt, I don't know, I was used to sort of more harsher storytelling. I don't know. But yeah, no, I do definitely acknowledge the original trilogy and the impact it had. Definitely, because I don't think... I mean, I guess the sci-fi genre would have taken off in some other way. The fact that it was this way is fine. So, episode 1, 2, and 3. And everyone's looking forward to it. It's all brilliant. I'm not 100% certain on what the audience's reaction to the second trilogy was at the time and is now. So do you want to fill me in on that?
It was a massive hype train, or a bit of hyperbole, if you like. Obviously, you get word that there's a new Star Wars movie on the way. You think, wow. Obviously, it's filmed at Leavesden, which is literally around the corner.
In the UK.
Yeah, so we get this trailer, and we see things like pod racing. We see an early version of C-3PO, some guy wielding a double-ended lightsaber. We didn't know who, obviously Darth Maul, but we didn't know that at the time. Everyone was pumped. I think I was being a Star Wars fan, I was massively pumped.
I think everyone sort of, that shot of Darth Maul turning on his lightsaber, I think was a big moment for fans, wasn't it?
Oh, most definitely, yes.
And it's funny that I mean, as far as I can gather from that first episode, much of it is kind of, I don't know, it's not as memorable as the Darth Maul character. I think he's the one that kind of shines out the most in that movie.
A lot of the merchandising, cereals, bed sheets, toys, everything was centered on Darth Maul. That was the marketing campaign for the whole movie, was Darth Maul, and it was a bit of a letdown, the fact that he was off pretty much at the very end of the movie, thinking, okay, where does that leave episode 2 and 3 now?
What about episodes 2 and 3? Because isn't it a sort of mixed response?
2 was probably a little bit better. It was I think it's probably too long. Well, we did get the Clone Wars, which was good, but there was a massive overuse of CGI. I think they
Lucas got CG happy, I think.
He got very CG happy. thinking, okay, well, we don't have to build these things. Let's just stick them in the computer and do it that way. I mean, yeah, they looked okay, but there's certain things you can't do. You couldn't do then anyway. This is like 2001 in the production for a 2002 release. Humanoids, aliens, they just don't look right in CGI.
No, yeah, I understand his enthusiasm, and to be quite fair to him, I probably would have gone all in CG's butt when it was all the rage. You know, there was a lot of controversy around the constant re-restorations of the movies and stuff, and doing it once or twice is fine, but redoing it is I kind of started to annoy people. But again, I understand where he comes from. It's his baby, isn't it? And yes. you can't, you want to continue to sort of, you miss it almost. A while passes, and we're all wondering what's going to happen next. And then it turns out that Lucas has sold the rights of Lucasfilm to Disney. Everyone loses their shit. They're so pissed off. But there's a hope there that perhaps they'll take the job and they'll hire some real talent, like, good script writers. And as it turns out, our faith was misplaced, I think.
Yeah. They hired J.J. Abrams. The thing I will credit J.J. Abrams for Force Awakens was he went back to basics. He actually went back to using the sets, the locations, the bigatures, the things that made the original trilogy what they were. So, and with a few CG touch-ups, which is all well and good. I mean, even Peter Jackson did that for Lord of the Rings. He did CGI touch-ups where necessary. So for that, I'll give J.J. Abrams props. I mean, Force Awakens was a safe movie. It was, a lot of people said it was a retread of Episode 4, The New Hope, but I'm a firm believer of history repeating itself. That's how I accepted The Force Awakens. It was different enough.
That aspect didn't bother me at all, because I agree with you. There's a certain poetry to the replication of history and stuff. So no, yeah, that didn't have an issue with me at all.
So yeah, I accepted Force Awakens for what it was. It was a fun movie. It was fun. It carried on the story, if you like. It's a hard story to tell, following the defeat of the Empire in Episode 6, and then we're hit with The Force Awakens in 2015.
I think everyone was like, okay, it was all right. It's a safe start, Let's see what the next one brings. And along comes Rian Johnson. Now, his name has been tossed about the arena like a rag doll, as it deserves. If you sort of had a whole lineup of people, right, and one of them had to be the next director of Star Wars, Abrams couldn't do it for some reason, he was out, and you had to pick someone, I think the last fucking person I'd pick would be Rian Johnson. He fucked it up, didn't he?
He was given literally the keys to the kingdom. Is like, you've come off, doing a lot of indie movies like Looper and I think Brick, I think he did. So he's a bit more of an independent director, and he was basically given, here's several $100 million in budget. I should put exaggeration. He thought, yeah, screw it, let's just let's kill this person off, and then like that in The Force Awakens, so we just changed that. We won't mention this anymore. We'll kill this person off, and we'll do this, we'll do that, and there you go. And I'm gonna leave fuck all for whoever does Episode 9.
Yeah, that is essentially what went down. I mean, when I started watching it, I knew pretty much within half an hour the garbage fire that it was going to be, and it pissed me off in a way. The stuff that Abrams had set up was just completely destroyed. What was the whole fucking point of Snoke? What was the whole point? It doesn't take a lot of talent to find someone who knows what they're doing, really. I mean, you look at so many other talented scriptwriters and storytellers out there. Hampton Francher, and oh look, there's so many of them. But it just baffles me, and I think it was heavily influenced by the current social politics, and you can't do that with creative franchises. You really can't. The moment you start incorporating current affairs into your narrative just to sort of play it safe is completely and utterly ludicrous, because in the real world, away from social media, no one actually really gives a shit. People really care more about an interesting story. You'll find that the people who are pissed off and are complaining about something aren't the ones involved. So like it would be, a good example is Peter Dinklage, who complained that Disney were going to do a live reenactment of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yes.
Right. So Disney pull out, the cast, the seven cast, the dwarves that they had cast, and now the Seven Dwarfs are out of a job and they're pissed off. They didn't care. You know what I mean? So it's, I know Peter Dinklage is a dwarf himself, but you get my point. There are people who just will bash something because it doesn't make sense to them. Well, I think everyone was just sort of, really annoyed with it. No one had any faith in Disney. I think very few people, even the hardcore fans, must have been shaking at this point. But how about you?
I would probably not blame Disney for this. I would probably blame someone else.
That's an interesting theory. Go on.
I would probably blame someone else. I'm going to point the finger solidly at Kathleen Kennedy.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because of the whole Me Too movement and stuff, she wanted to sort of, big up the representation. And I can understand when you're in a position of that much power, the pressure on so many sides. I mean, look, let's not forget that Kathleen Kennedy is behind some really good fucking films in the past.
Yeah, she has been.
She's done what? She did the Indiana Jones, produced Indiana Jones.
I believe so. Yeah, I think she produced at least from Temple of Doom. I believe. I don't think she did Raiders. I think it's too early in her career. I think she did Temple of Doom onwards.
So she was behind the scenes for a lot
Jurassic
of
Park.
Yeah, for a lot of movies that we.
So a lot of Spielberg stuff.
There.
She was basically she was brought into business by Steven Spielberg himself.
So I mean, what happened? Was she put under pressure? See, this is the thing as well. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that we don't understand. So, if she was a dick, as is sort of portrayed in the media, if it is what it is portrayed, then well, yeah, you're a dick. Then, to be fair, I mean, I think that's fair to say. I think.
Yeah, I mean, since the acquisition, I think it was 2013. I think that's when Disney bought Lucasfilm.
Right.
Since its acquisition, they've put out 5 Star Wars films. They put 3 saga films and 2, I suppose, anthology movies. I only really like 2 of the 5. 2 of the 5 is anyone's I like. That was obviously Rogue One, which is I think was a stroke of genius. I loved that movie. It was a great Star Wars film.
Rogue One was a bit special. Yeah. I do agree.
And So Rogue One and obviously Force Awakens are the ones I see passable in terms of their releases. And then they just went off the rails. They went off the rails completely. I mean, Last Jedi could, if they edit that slightly, it could probably salvage it, and then just completely fuck off Rise of Skywalker. I fucking hated that film. I fucking hated that film completely. It was such a fucking mess. It was a classic case of too many chefs spoiled the broth.
Yeah, I think the most heartbreaking about the 2nd and 3rd, 8 and 9, was that Mark Hamill, in his own genius way, tried to warn us, and it started off very subtle. In certain interviews, he would sort of reel, or sort of you know what I mean. He would kind of squirm at questions and stuff, and then later on, he kind of got a bit more blatant about it and spoken it out a bit more.
I mean, there's a great documentary. It's on the Blu-ray release for The Last Jedi, and it's I think it's called The Director and the Jedi. And the actual documentary starts with Mark Hamill in a talking head interview saying, I fundamentally disagree with everything that happens to my character. With that, we continue.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I think the rest of the Star Wars fans agree with you, Mark. So don't worry about that. So it's fair to say that I think everyone was a bit deflated after all of this, and I was kind of probably one of them. And then a TV show is announced called The Mandalorian, and Jon Favreau's at the helm with his buddy
Dave Filoni.
And everyone's like, their ears prick up, because obviously, as we know, Jon Favreau gave birth to the Marvel franchise. And so we are kind of apprehensive, kind of hopeful, sorry, and...
interests have been piqued at the point of this Mandalorian character.
Yeah. And then the series airs, and I mean, this discussing the whole thing would be its own podcast. But even I, someone who's not really a major Star Wars fan at all, was impressed. I must say, I was actually fucking impressed with the work that had gone into The Mandalorian. The sheer love. Because each episode was its own story, and obviously there were certain narratives woven in which reminded us of certain things, and it didn't just have to be an object in the background. It was certain pacing of a scene, what happens. Like a good example of this is, I can't remember what episode it is, but the famous scene from the beginning of episode 4 where you have the rebels getting ready to be ambushed by the...
Oh yeah, when they're...
Right at the start.
Yeah.
And then you have a scene in The Mandalorian somewhere, I can't remember where the life of me it is, where the roles are actually reversed, and you have...
I think it's season 2.
Is it season 2?
It's season 2, yeah. It's when they come across the Imperial encampment.
And they're all shitting themselves, and we're sitting there laughing because this is just like a role reversal. And as we mentioned before, we do like it when history repeats itself. Yeah. What was your take on Mandalorian?
I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was good to see once again. I would say, well, yeah, sets. It is sets, and I would say locations, but they found a new way of filming this show in a way that they could do so during this whole stupid pandemic. But yeah, it had all the little calls to the original trilogy, all the little things, little niche things that we like. It wasn't so much fan service, but it was a continuity. It wasn't shoved down our throats or anything like that. They didn't seek to appeal to certain groups. Everyone's welcome in this, and that's what I loved. And they say you get actors in there like Carl Weathers, who I know from Predator, great actor.
Let's not forget the lead guy. Who was the lead guy? I've forgotten his name. I keep forgetting his name.
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal.
I've seen him from. He's also Kingsman: Golden Circle.
He was in a film I saw the last week. No, what am I talking about? Not a film. Series. Narcos.
Okay, yeah, I've not seen that myself, but I heard he's really good in it.
First season, absolutely fucking amazing. I haven't started the second season. I'm kind of done now that what's happened has happened at the end of season 1. If you haven't watched it, I won't spoil, but it is a historical reenactment, if you like. Now that we know what happens in The Mandalorian, what I saw happening, I think is coming to pass, wherein, and this is spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen it, you're going to have to duck out, is that Grogu is evil, and I think that Luke Skywalker is getting a bit worried. Now, this is bearing in mind that I haven't seen the Book of Boba Fett, so I know one or two little things, like literally I know that there's an episode that's just sort of aired, and it's pretty much mostly Luke Skywalker and Grogu. That's all I know. So do you want to sort of fill me in on all of that shit?
Right, yeah. I mean, Book of Boba Fett, 7 episodes, slow start, very slow start. It's a slow burner. One of the, I think, it gets to about episode 5, and it basically turns into Mandalorian season 2.5. In terms of Grogu, I wouldn't say he's gone evil.
You don't think that there's early inklings? Come on, man. You remember the episode with the spiders?
Yeah.
And he wanted to eat those eggs, man. He wasn't going to let anyone tell him.
He's just a child. He's just hungry all the time.
True, but then in the classroom, a couple of episodes later, he's sitting there in the class and he wants that girl's
biscuits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next thing she knows,
to swipe them. Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah.
The Luke Skywalker interactions, and obviously Grogu, who's now in training with Luke, is left with a decision. Do you want to stay and be the best Jedi I can make you, or do you want to go back to the Mandalorian, where you'll forsake all training?
Oh, so he offers Grogu.
There's a choice made, and there's a reason why there's a choice made.
Right.
But in that same episode, there is something that I've seen before, where we've all seen before. It's the Jedi Temple that Luke has built, and it's first seen in The Last Jedi.
Okay.
Where he speaks of Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren, basically destroying the whole place, killing some students and taking some with him. So the Knights of Ren are meant to be Force sensitive, but apparently Rise of Skywalker they're not.
We'll ignore that little
side
thing.
Yeah, we'll ignore that. So it's also said that Luke said his first student is Kylo Ren.
Right.
So Grogu can't be his first. So it makes more sense for Grogu to think, okay, I'm going to the Mandalorian. I'm going back to him. We have a connection. We have adventures. So I'm going back to him. I don't want to learn anything. Learning's boring. I'm a child. I want to go to him. So in continuity to which we would hope was going to decanonize the sequel trilogy. By this point, I don't think it's going to be, because obviously they are acknowledging the fact that Luke has his first student, which is going to be Ben Solo.
They haven't said either way, have they? Or have they said that they're decanonizing? There's
been various rumours that they're thinking of. I've heard they're going to completely delete them. That's one rumour. Another rumour is they're going to re-edit episode 7, so that when Leia gets sucked out of the bridge from the capital ship, she's gone. That's for the whole film. They were going to edit the fact that Luke uses his power to fool Kylo Ren thinking he's there when he's not. And he doesn't die from that. And then essentially remake episode 9.
Right.
That was one rumour I heard. But as I say, this is all rumour mill. I don't think Disney will do it. They should, but they won't. They're too lazy.
Well, if it's going to make them money, I think they probably will.
I mean,
but we'll see.
If they want to make money, they should release the original trilogy as it was originally seen. That's the cash cow waiting to happen.
It's funny how where their morals are. But anyway, so after all of this now, what do you think is in store for the franchise? Do you think that there's going to be some good stuff? Do you think they've learned their lesson? Where do you think that they're at?
I think they are very understanding of the backlash they got from episode 8, and then the complete mismanagement and misguidance of episode 9. I think this is why The Mandalorian was born. Because it gives everyone that sense of, what it's like to be a child again, watching, something magical. Star Wars it's a magical thing. Going forward, obviously we've got 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. We've got the Book of Boba Fett season, which is just finished. We've got Obi-Wan in May. I think an Andor show based on the Cassian Andor character from Rogue One. That's sometime this year, and obviously Mandalorian season 3. In terms of the films, Taika Waititi's he's planning a Star Wars movie. The 2 guys from Game of Thrones who fucked up that complete series.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, they were given a trilogy, and then when Disney realised that they could even finish their own Game of Thrones show, they said, well, you guys can fuck off. Ryan Johnson, apparently he was planning a trilogy.
Yeah.
I've heard that's been nixed now. I could be wrong. There's nothing on that. Patty Jenkins has been given a Rogue Squadron movie. Apparently still in production, although I have heard that was nixed as well. But
there's the Obi-Wan thing coming as well.
That's it. That's coming in May.
Yeah.
Disney Plus, May 25th.
Is that starring what's his name?
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen comes back as Darth Vader.
Oh, right.
And apparently they're going to use some powers first shown in The Last Jedi, where Rey and Kylo Ren spoke to each other. They couldn't see their locations, but they could see each other through the Force and talk to each other. So I think Obi-Wan and Vader are going to be talking to each other that way. I said,
Okay.
I think Obi-Wan's going to see him as Anakin, though. He's going to use the Force to sort of deny the vision of his
Probably going to
figure
remember him
clad
as
in black.
Anakin.
He doesn't want to see him as Vader. He wants to see him as Anakin.
You know, with third-degree burns on the guy.
That's it. I mean, that could be fun. I mean, Ewan McGregor's been lying about it for years, apparently. It's been pitched to him years ago, and he said, no, I'm not doing any more Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah.
So, yeah, he's quite happy, relieved to actually think, yeah, I'm doing it now.
Okay. Well, I definitely think that they're being cautious after the farce that was 7, 8, and 9. From a personal standpoint, I don't understand why at the very start it wasn't one full script decided, worked on, as in you get a group of 3 or 4 people, lock them in a room for a month and don't let them out until they've come up with a solid 3-movie script of what's going to happen next, pleasing the fans, blah 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 blah, taking the story further in an original fucking way. We haven't seen that at all. At best, we've seen them play it safe, and we've had glimmers of brilliance and hope with Mandalorian. Personally, from me, the integration between CG and live action is absolutely just absolutely brilliant, and I want more. I want more from Jon Favreau, and I hope he's got a lot of original talent left. And here's my fear, which is that at some point everyone loses their skill, I think. And I think, for even Ridley Scott, I think, has lost his gift a little, and you could say that about a lot of people. Scorsese's Irishman I didn't like. I think he's kind of, it's a love letter, but it's dangerous to have. I mean, okay, other people love it, it's fine, but for me, too long, mate. Just too long and boring for me. CG was the CG of the de-aging was terrible. Anyway, so yeah, I think there's a lot of hope, but they need to get some proper talent in.
Well, Filoni, apparently he's got George Lucas on speed dial. This is why The Mandalorian's quite successful, because he has George absolutely. What would this character do? What does this place look like? What kind of locals do we have here? He's always on the phone to George, apparently.
Okay, good.
And George is gutted because he apparently visited the set of The Mandalorian and thought, I didn't realise we could make films this way.
Well, it's a new thing, man. To be fair, George, it's like it's not. I mean, it's literally past couple of years.
Oh yeah, there was another rumour swirling that George apparently he's got a sequel trilogy written apparently, and
Star Wars
trilogy, yeah. 7, 8, and 9. He's owned 7, 8, and 9.
Oh yeah.
That's another rumour.
Oh, I wonder if they're sort of going, oh, we'll try yours then.
Take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens there. I want to move on to a very distressing topic, for me anyway, because I think your love of Star Wars is my love of Tolkien, and we've had some recent news today that the Tolkien Estate have sold off the game and movie franchise, and I think it's for a reported 200+ mil. I don't know the full story, so I don't know whether that includes the literature. It better not include the literature, because that's really the last bastion. I'm very disappointed in the Tolkien Estate, especially having sold it to Amazon. What's your take?
Well, I think as I said to you earlier, I'm yet to see the new Rings of Power trailer. I know it's supposed to be set before Lord of the Rings.
It's in the Second Age. Lord of the Rings is sort of end of the Third Age or something.
Okay, so yeah, I've seen various little things, little pictures here and there. It looks like they're just reaching now. They're just trying to think. Oh, okay, well, let's just get this group of people. There you go. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Done.
There's a problem with the diversification of certain races. That is an issue with a lot of people. There were no non-white elves, shall we say, and non-white dwarves and stuff. I don't think Tolkien would have given a shit, to be quite honest. So I'm not really so bothered about that. What I'm bothered about is how they look. And one person put it brilliantly in one of the comments of the trailer. This is like bad cosplay, right? And it is literally just like bad cosplay. And it's just like, oh my god, right? I like that the whole universe and stuff is alive. And what I'll say to everyone is, go to the books. Go to the books. The original Lord of the Rings trilogy by Peter Jackson, watch them, and then read The Hobbit. And if you want to know more, carry on reading. That's that. Honestly, anything else at this moment is just a complete waste of time. And yes, I am talking about the Hobbit trilogy as well. It is a blasphemy to all things that is holy. Do you think Amazon will yield? Because the Witcher production crew yielded, didn't they?
I believe they did. I think they got a lot of slack for season 1, and then come season 2, everyone sort of, well, they were more happy this time round. I think there was a lot more diversity. And I've seen a lot of good reviews. I mean, The Witcher is something. Yes, I'm still to see. I'm gonna wait for like season 3 to be done, and then I'm probably gonna binge them all at once.
I'm not sure what to make of it, to be quite honest with you. It's entertaining, but it's. I think that's all it is for me. Second season isn't as good as the first season, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, literally read the books or play the game. And everyone, when they say play the game, everyone means the third game, because the first 2 games, they're great, but they're nowhere near on par with the level of quality of the third one. Everyone's talking about that. So go and play the third one if you do want to experience what we are all talking about and our love for the Witcher game. That's kind of it, really. Pissed off at the Tolkien Estate, and so we're yet to sort of discover whether it actually includes the literature. I don't think it does. So, and then with Star Wars as well, we've got some trepidation going on amongst those ranks, so we'll see what happens there. Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series does to the series, and what that brings.
Yeah, hopefully some good stuff. Hopefully it might bring some love for the prequel trilogy, maybe.
I think there is some newfound. I was going to mention this. I think there is some newfound love for the original sequel trilogy, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it's true. At least the creator was in charge of 1, 2, and 3.
Exactly. That's going to do it for us this time, guys. Until the next episode, I hope you all stay safe, stay well, and get everything that you wish for.
Yes, and thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
Not a problem. Take care, everyone.